I know a lot of people in the United States which weren't politically active. They were in the middle of nowhere and had no intention of voting for any president whatsoever. In fact, they never went to elections, period. And then Obama came and he started passing legislation and telling those people what fertilizer they're allowed to use, what insecticide they're allowed to spray their fields with. And this enraged people. It's like, oh, you're messing with us. Well, then we're going to mess with you. Who's running against you? And that is one of the reasons why a lot of people voted for Republican during the 2016 elections is due to the fact that the government kept fucking with them. Like, had you leave people alone, they would have left you alone. But that's what happens when you want people to get politically engaged, because everything is political. Yeah. Now the United States seems to want to mess with the Amish. Now, they're not messing with all the Amishes yet. They're messing with one farm, as far as I know. But I don't think they're going to win this conflict. I don't think it's going to go their way. You know, like, when you have a group of people that have been gimping themselves purposefully to live a harder life, isolated as much as possible from the grid, you're going to have a very difficult time to get them to comply. Now, if you don't know who the Amish are, these are people who only recently started using electricity. And again, not all of them. It depends on the Amish denomination. There are more enlightened Amish that find it more permissible to even use a computer or the internet, but only at work and only to do your job. And when they come home, they don't use any of that. And then you have more Amish that are so restrictive when it comes to technology that they don't use electricity, they don't use any modern equipment. And as such, they farm the old way that humanity has been farming for literally thousands of years. And this is part of their religion. Like, they believe that if they don't do this, then God will punish them. So they fear God more than they fear the government, which is what a lot of governments in the world are trying to change right now. I mean, the more modern governments want the citizens to fear the politician and not a supernatural entity. They want people, when they have problems, to pray to the politician and not a supernatural entity. Right? Like, when you have a problem, God won't fix it, but the government will, because it has a track record at fixing all the problems. So, this mindset, this new way of thinking is directly at odds with the Amish. Now, in this particular instance, you have a farm, the Amos Miller, who the farm owner believes that he is preparing the food the same way God has intended. But apparently, in the United States, you're not allowed to prepare food the way God has intended. Because God may be holy, but he doesn't give you the license. The license is given by the government. If you don't have the stamp, then your food is unsafe. So people for thousands of years have lived unsafe until the U.S. Department of Agriculture facilities were born. And then the farmer has to give his milk, his cheese, his eggs to the U.S. Department of Agricultural facilities so they can manufacture it. And then they can give you the license and take a little bit of cut from that, okay? Because the government is starving. They need to eat as well. Like, the bureaucrat needs to put food on the table as well. The politician, he needs to eat, right? So he needs to take a cut. And by undercutting the U.S. Department of Agricultural facilities, then the people aren't safe. It's very interesting because my parents, they would go to the farmer's market and they would take the milk, they would smell it. I know this sounds bizarre, right? But they would literally take the milk, they would smell it, they would have a little taste, and if it tasted fine, they would take it home and they would boil it. Like, this is what humanity has done for thousands of years. But recently, the European Union is like, no, people need to be kept safe. So now the farmer needs to have a doctor that comes in and checks the living conditions of the cow, and then they have to take it to the equivalent of the U.S. Department of Agricultural facilities where it puts a stamp and gives a license. And this causes the price of milk to explode. A lot of farmers are pushed out of a business because they can't afford to have all of these costs, right? And people believe that this is the way it always was. And people believe that without all of this, we would all get sick from the milk. Even though our ancestors, for some goddamn reason, managed to survive long enough to reproduce. So, it is so stupid to the point that if right now we were to have a government mandate that every single parent should send their children at a government facility where they can learn how to walk, I guarantee to you that in 2 generations, people will believe that without the help of the government, human beings cannot walk. Like, I am willing to put money on this. Because this is the mental deficiency that a lot of people are having right now. They genuinely believe that without the license and without keeping people safe, people will die. So, because of this farmer, which apparently has a lot of customers and he is so independent that he doesn't even use gas to produce his own fertilizer. And the war with Russia doesn't affect him at all, which means that he can sell his product for really cheap. And on top of that, all of his clients are really happy with the high quality whole food. So no one died, no one got sick. But again, this doesn't look good, right? I mean, if you need the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Facilities to keep people safe and make sure that they don't die, and here you have a farmer bypassing that, and it shows that by some miracle, the people are surviving, and not only that, they prefer the organic food that this farmer is producing. Well, the government puts to shame, might make people question. So because of that, they send armed federal agents, right? Like, I remember a couple of weeks ago, CNN was saying that the pistola, right, like a pistol, it's a weapon of war. But for some reason, when the government agents arrive at the scene, it's not called that they are armed with weapons of war. No, it's to protect and serve, I guess, right? So they demanded that the farmer shuts down his operation, and they also issued a $300,000 fine. Now, this is the case of one farm, all right? And this particular farm happens to be very close to Washington, D.C. They can try their best in order to prevent the farmer from selling food to other people. However, it is my strong belief, looking at human history, looking at the Great Leap Forward in China, looking at the nationalizations which happened in Romania under communism, the government is not going to win against these farmers in the long run. I mean, sure, the ones around the cities and the ones that are in close vicinity, yeah, they can shut them down. But I'm telling you, these are religious community that have been keeping themselves for hundreds of years, living in hardship. They don't have bank accounts that you can shut down like Trudeau did with the truckers. They don't care if you call them homophobic bigots. They don't even need your fucking gas. So the thing that you can do, the only thing that the government can do is to send armed people. But I'm telling you, it doesn't look good on cameras. Even the most liberal person, even the most forward-thinking, progressive person will probably not appreciate seeing on television the armed IRS agents, or the agentes federales, coming with weapons and threatening farmers that just want to be left alone. Okay, it doesn't look good on camera. And despite what people think, the United States is still a democracy. They still need the support of the people. They still need the consent of the people. And you're going to have a lot of leftist people that are going to say, yeah, this is a little bit too far. Can we not? Plus the costs involved. I mean, again, you're sending the agentes federales to crack down on these farms. If they're close to the city, it doesn't cost much. But if you're going to send the agentes federales in the goddamn middle of nowhere and to just harass a farm, no, that's not cost effective. There are other people you can fuck with closer to the city. So, I do think that, in the end, the Amish are not going to be fucked with. They have managed to survive, so many different governments, and they managed to survive so many different politicians, that this is just absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, it's going to frustrate people even further. The Amish are renowned for not voting. I'm willing to bet this farmer is going to vote in the next elections. And many more like him. Other people who aren't Amish, and they're looking at this and they're saying, well, yeah, but this is a little bit fucked up. At which point is the government just going to leave people alone? Is there anything that I can do in my private life that the government doesn't have a say in? And the answer is no, because every single new legislation, every single new regulation is just another thing that the government is concerned about your well-being. It's Look, the government wants your well-being. Make sure that it doesn't take it away from you. This is a Romanian mantra. This is a Romanian saying. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, there is a pinned comment that gives you a link to my Subscribe Star. If you want some great buyer's remorse, please do not hesitate to click there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the comment sections. Take care.